Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the top mistakes that people make when they visit Romania. Okay, so one of the first mistakes that people make when we're talking about Bucharest to begin with here is not staying near Old Town. When we booked our Airbnb for Bucharest, we were there for a month. I was looking at the map and I didn't know what was what, and the places all over the city you could book. And we just kind of by chance booked Old Town, and really glad that we did, because that is the best place to stay when you are visiting Bucharest.
Yes, and what's interesting is that there are several hotels that are actually in Old Town. Some of the big name hotels are in the city, in other, near the business district and things like that, I think because of business travel obviously, but in Old Town they cater, there's more hostels if you're looking for something like that, but they do cater more to tourists, the hotels there, which is nice, but you're staying right above some of the restaurants in Old Town, so that's definitely the best place to stay.
And if you're in Old Town, you're not really going to need to leave the Old Town area for much, other than if you are going to go way out into the suburbs for something. But if you're there to stay, and that's basically what you're going to be doing. So if you're not in Old Town, you're going to be trying to get into Old Town every day, and it's really not that much more to stay in Old Town, so just stay in Old Town.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think in line with that is a mistake that people make is renting a car in Bucharest.
Yeah, you don't need a car.
There's several reasons why you shouldn't rent a car in Bucharest.
First of all, there's nowhere to park.
Correct.
Second of all, there's way too many cars on the road. And third of all, there's plenty of transportation options. And likely, if you're in Old Town, you won't even need them. So the whole month we were in Bucharest, we probably got 3 Ubers. We rode the sightseeing bus once, and we never even had to get on the metro system, because everything is just right there, and you don't need to leave that area. So having a car would just be a huge liability in Bucharest. So don't rent a car.
Yeah, and the traffic there is just, it's insane, really.
Yeah, a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Next mistake that we found out after we got there was, if you speak English, this is, and if you're watching this, you probably do, not spending too much time learning the language if you're only going to be there for a week or two, because basically everybody there spoke English. And of all the countries that we visited so far, they were the most eager to speak English. So a lot of countries we'll visit and they know English, but they don't really want to speak it. In Bucharest, in Romania, they knew English and they wanted to speak it. So any Romanian that we learned was essentially useless, because we never got a chance to speak it, because when they saw that we spoke English, they wanted to speak in English with us.
Yeah, they're very eager, and they want to show you what they know. So it was really great, and it was really nice to have that. We don't always expect that, obviously, but it was very nice.
Yeah, normally we would say learn some language, but this was the one place that I would say you really don't need to. The next thing that I would say is just not going because of what you've heard of Romania. Some people have heard that it's not safe, or that it's not good to go to. It's a great place. It was very safe. It felt good being there, and we're super happy that we went. So if you've heard anything in the past that might deter you from going to Romania, just kind of put that out of your mind. Because it was a great place to visit.
Yeah, we even had a couple people say, "Are you sure you want to go there?" other than people making the big mistake of thinking we were going to Budapest, which is in Hungary, completely different country, completely different place. But I think people just aren't aware of that. It's a safe place to go. They're nice people, they're welcoming people, and there is so much to see. So yeah, definitely don't miss out on it.
Speaking of things to see, the Palace of Parliament is one thing you're gonna want to see. And a mistake you can make is not checking the schedule when you get there and knowing what days it's going to be open. It is actively in use, and they do have meetings. They bring in delegations. They'll close the whole thing down for 3 weeks at a time to visitors, and you just won't get to go. So when you get there, before you get there, check the schedule, find out what days tickets are going to be available, and we'll do whatever you need to do to get tickets for that. You can call ahead to get tickets, which is a little dicey if you don't speak the language maybe. That seemed like a tough option. You can also book tickets through a tour, or you can just show up and get tickets. Now in our case, we were there for an entire month, and the first 3 weeks that we were there, it was closed. And essentially, there was going to be only one day we could go that it was going to be open, and it was one of the last 2 days that we were there. So we thought to ourselves, we have to get in on this day. So we went ahead and booked a ticket through a tour that essentially assured us access. And as we got there, it ended up being that we probably could have gotten in had we just showed up, but we didn't want to risk that, being that it was one thing that we really wanted to do. So we booked a tour for about $25, I think. And
that just assures that you get the ticket. It wasn't actually.
It wasn't actually.
The tour is included as part of your ticket to see the Palace of Parliament. But if you book it through a tour company, they guarantee that they're going to give you, that you're going to get a ticket. So that's the advantage of doing it that way, is that once you check the schedule, if you have a tight schedule of like us, where basically there were only 2 days we could go, book the tour, because they're going to be able to say, yes, you're definitely getting in, as opposed to just, like you said, just showing up and crossing your fingers and hoping that you can get in. You never know, because you don't know what the flow of there are a lot of tourists from Asia, and you don't know what the flow is of them coming in, and so you have no idea how many tour buses are going to be sitting there when you show up.
Another thing that I think is a mistake is not giving yourself enough time in Bucharest to explore what they have to offer there. There's an incredible food scene there. We talked to some tourists from other countries on the tours that we were on, and they were giving themselves a day or 2 days in Bucharest, which means they were only hitting the Palace of Parliament and maybe one other thing, and they weren't really seeing the city.
Right.
So because we were there so long, we got to go to the local restaurants, dessert shops, try out the food, and it's got some of the best food that we've had in our whole last year of travel, I would say.
Really phenomenal.
Phenomenal food at phenomenal prices, and if you are into food, just give yourself 4 or 5 days and just see what they've got, because it's great food at great prices.
Yeah, definitely.
Next thing would be trying to do the tours on your own from Bucharest. This would be talking about Bran Castle, Raznov Fortress. It's okay, you could do them on your own and you can kind of drive around, but the better thing we thought was basing in Bucharest and then letting someone else drive you around. Because the tours that we got were so cheap. It was like $50 a day.
It would have cost more money in gas in the rental car
and frustration
than it did to go on
and
the
you have
tour.
to figure out what to do with the rental car. So the tours were so cheap and they were really well done. We got the tours through Get Your Guide. You can look on there, they've got an app and see the different reviews of what tour company you want to pick. But we just got one on there. All the tours we got were from there. And they all worked out really, really well. So I would not do that a different way.
Yeah, that was actually the first country we had tried Get Your Guide, and it worked out. We did 2 there, right? 2 tours with them there, and we've actually since then used it in several other countries, and it just worked out really well. It's a great service, and the tour guides in Romania were fantastic, as well as the drivers, so really 0 complaints out of that. It was definitely the way to go. It was worth, the little bit of money that we paid. We felt so bad. that we paid so that we paid so little money for it, but that's what they were charging. So what are you gonna do? You leave the tour guide and the driver a nice tip, and at least you feel better.
Yeah. And then we've got another one here, which is if you're gonna get transportation in the city of Bucharest, or anywhere really, use an Uber app, or the taxi companies have an app, so that everything is documented and it's easier just to tell them where you're going through the app, because if you get in the car, you're gonna have to tell them where you're going, and you're not gonna know
how to
the
get
street
there.
naming system is all different, and that's gonna be a mess. So and it's safer. We were told by several locals, don't just grab a taxi off the street, use the app, because everything's going to be much safer if you do it that way.
Yeah, and you don't have to, there's no haggling or anything like that, and you just, like you said, it's going to be safer. It's just one of those places where the taxi drivers, just because you'll see a ton of taxi drivers, taxis just sitting outside of, shopping centers and different places, different, tourist places, and those are the ones that you don't want to take. You want to definitely always use either Uber or the taxi app for Bucharest. And Uber actually technically is not legal there, but they still run, and they still came and picked us up and took us where we needed to go. So I don't really know what that means, but the Uber driver told us that it wasn't legal there, but that was the Uber driver, and he was still doing it. So I don't know I don't know, but we used it and we didn't have any trouble with it. The only trick though, actually, with the Uber app was getting on the right side of the street.
Yeah.
Is knowing which direction you were going in, because if you were going, say, if you're going this way, then you should be on this side of the street. If you're coming this way, then this side of the street. Because it takes such a long time to turn around. You can't just, flip a U-turn in the middle of the street. It's more complicated than that. So they will not come and pick you up if you're on the wrong side of the street. You'll have to cross, or, so make sure you figure that out in advance. We actually had several kind of friends that we made with the local merchants right around us, and they were able to help us to figure out which side of the street we needed to be on for wherever we were going. So that's kind of important to figure that out.
So I hope you like this video, and your trip to Romania is amazing. If you did like it, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we will see you on the next video.